Alright folks, welcome back. Hunter Felker here with Felks Fishing Bass Hunter. Follow on Instagram, follow on Facebook, subscribe down below on YouTube. So my last video, I went kinda into depth about a fishing trip that I took right before Thanksgiving. And for anybody that watched the video all the way through and was listening to my mumbo jumbo rambling away, y'all might have picked up that I said not too long after I went fishing and the pattern was substantially different. Well, since I hinted to it in that video, I might as well dive into this one. So, that day that I'm referring to was actually, I think maybe the day after Thanksgiving, or just a few days after, right before Thanksgiving. Same week though, but just a few days later. So, same lake, same thing, show up same time in the morning, 6:45 in the morning or whatever. I'm on the water by 7:15, whatever it is. And weather was honestly more or less the exact same. It was 35 degrees, super windy. This day might have been windier. It was blowing by the end of the day. Super windy though, overcast. So I was thinking, man, it's the exact same weather. It's only been a couple days since I smoked them on, hitting them on the points. I was hitting them on rock points, main lake points, jetties, any windblown point. I was smoking them on in schools. So I was like, it's got to be the same pattern. So if you watch the first video, I talk about and I show some pictures of where I catch a 5 and a 6 pounder at the first 2 casts. Well, I go back to that same point to start and nothing. So I cut across the lake and hit a stretch that I did really good also that couple days before, and might have picked up a few, but nothing compared to the trip before. I was like, man, this is weird. So I go into the cove and I hit a couple of laydowns and some points that have some laydowns on them that I did really good on the trip before, and picked up a few again, but nothing crazy. I'm like, man, I mean, did it really get like that cold one of these days, the last couple days, that it turned off the bite or something? Or like, is something just different? You know, was the last time I here, was it? And I keep track of full moons and the lunar patterns, barometric pressure. I keep track of all that every time I go fishing, so I could go back and probably go look and figure out what it was that between the 2 days that I went, that I'm talking about. But you know, as I was fishing though, I wasn't looking at that data, and I'm just thinking, man, what's different between now and then? So I finally come around and I hit this other point, and yeah, I'm still in this cove. So like, I'm in this big, deep, southern facing cove. There's these 2 jetties right across each other. I hit this jetty, nothing. Little tiny point way back in the cove, hit it, nothing. Flip back around, hit this boat dock, some laydowns, another man-made jetty. And I'm sitting here on this man-made jetty, and I finally pick off a few nice ones in a row, a few 3-4 pounders in a row, and 3 pounders in a row. And this dad and his kid are sitting there fishing 100 yards down the shore or whatever, and see me picking off these fish. And 5 minutes later, I see him hightailing it across the lake and packing up, going back in their car. I was like, dang, you guys could have came and had this point if I'd known you guys would wanted to come down this way. Anyway, so then, I'm still not doing great. I run this riprap, run another main lake point, nothing. I'm like, there's somewhere, like, there's no way the bite just turned off in 5 days or whatever it was. So I run across the lake. The wind's blowing super, I'm talking 30 miles, 25, 30, gusting 35 out of the southwest. So I go to the other side of the lake where the wind's blowing into more, and there's some kind of main lake points and some kind of like riprap that gets from that wind direction that gets blown on directly. So I run over, paddle over there and hit those, and essentially I started smoking them. I'd get into this where it'd be, I'd be throwing, I guess I'll dig it out and show it real quick. I know I showed it in the last video. I'll show them again in this one. I was just throwing rattle traps, mostly in the craw color, honestly, which, like I talked about in the last video, this is early winter time, so most people would say you need to be going shad pattern over a craw, but in my experience, you can throw this late fall, winter, early spring, and this kind of honestly outperforms something of this pattern, but that's just my personal experience. And I might have picked off a few on the old spinnerbait, but really, once I cut across the lake and I was hitting these wind-blown areas, I was just running the trap parallel down the bank at, variable levels, letting it sink, different amount of seconds, depending how far around I was throwing. And, I'd pick up a few just straight, burn, stop, burn, stop, burn, stop. And then I'd notice where a few of them were following it short all the way up to my paddleboard. So I'd, burn, stop all the way back to the paddleboard, and then I'd add in this little flutter to it, which when you're running a trap, it's normally just running like this. Well, you throw in that flutter and it lifts it, and it just kind of like stalls out and like does that. And when I would do that, I would catch a few more going through a school. And then I would throw in, oh gee, it might have fell down. I might have to find it real quick. Then I would throw in just a little blade bait, jig it around, would pick up a few more, and it wasn't a big deal, but I was throwing these shadow wraps and would also pick off a few. But by far the dominant thing was, like I said in my last video, these billows rattle traps paired up. They're on the triple grips. At least throw on a triple grip on the front hook, and you're not losing any fish. You gotta bring the pliers, so you don't gotta be digging some troubles out of your hand. And also, one other sneaky thing, that if I was getting some real timid fish that were following all the way back, one thing I noticed that I could do, I got this bad boy stuck in here, but I was throwing the spoon at him. I'd throw the spoon at him and jig the spoon, and picked off a few doing that. So I'm going to make this video pretty short, not much longer. Main thing I kind of wanted to go through or point out in this video was how much a pattern, or maybe not even like the pattern, but where they're staging or where they're setting up, can change within the matter of a few days. So first you refer back to the video before this, smoking them, exact same bait, exact same setup. I'm still throwing that 7-foot to a 7.2 medium heavy. Typically it's a Berkeley Lightning rod, just because, for one, they're cheap, two, for how cheap they are, they're my favorite rod for multi-purpose stuff. Anyway, so the only difference was, weather's the same. It's more or less, still just a couple days later, it's the same week that I went fishing. But they moved from these wind was blowing the same direction, everything. The only thing that was different, probably, well, for sure, was the lunar cycle, because we're talking a few days later. So the moon was, a few days advanced through what it was. I don't know the difference between the barometric pressure off the top of my head, but not that much had changed. The only thing that had changed was where they were staging at. The windblown points were no longer the thing to be hitting as to much, where I wanted to find just decent long windblown bank that had enough of a you know, an incline decline that they would actually stage up on. It couldn't be anything like a super flat. They weren't staging up, you know, on super flats, but if it had enough of an incline to it or any variable change to it, it seemed like they were setting up on where that wind was blowing in on the bank. And I would probably assume just because, you know, water's super cold, whatever bait fish, panfish, they're cold, they probably can't swim at quite as well. Wind's blowing super hard, current's blowing super hard in the bank, they all get pushed up on the bank, and the bass just run this little circle of going in and feeding on the bank. Which, you know, same kind of thing. You'd find one, you'd find a half dozen. You'd find some good ones mixed in with a school or just outside of a school. So, when I said in the last video it completely changed, not entirely true. Just where they staged up was changed. But I'll harp on it again. Late fall, when we're talking, I mean, we're talking when we're just a couple weeks out from there being ice over the top of the water, put down the spinnerbait and stuff, and start throwing a trap, start throwing a blade bait, and you'll catch more fish. And then I'll make more videos of it, but likewise, don't worry about tying, leave this tied on all through the winter, and as soon as the ice is cleared in the springtime, that first day that you have the open lake, go back out with this tied on, and you'll catch them better on this than you will anything else again. So I guess I'm gonna wrap up this video. I'll add pictures to this video as well, like I did the last video with fish that I caught from this trip. I guess on the last video I didn't really talk about the number of fish I caught or weight, but on that last video I actually put up over 20 pounds on my best 5 fish. I went 5, 6, 11 pounds, and then averaged out over 3 pounds those next 3 fish. So I was over 20 pounds for my best 5 and caught a bunch more within that 2-3 range. And then likewise on this day, I didn't catch the 5, 6 pounds, even the 4 pounders that I caught the trip before, but I was steady on the 2 to 3.5 pounders all day. Again, probably put up a 17, 18 pound bag for my best 5, which anybody that tournament fishes, they know, they'll tell you that's gonna win you a lot of tournaments, especially around here in Nebraska and in the Midwest. So it was good fishing. I got a couple more trips in after Thanksgiving. Only had a few more days before the ice really rolled in, the cold weather. But I'll maybe throw some stuff in from those trips, but I'll probably try to get into showing you guys my setup and some more of my tackle and preferential tactics and stuff for times a year, and probably do a little bit on getting springtime videos and tactics set up, because that's the season that we're going to be rolling in on. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'll catch you guys later in the next video. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, and I'll let you guys know any more updates about what's coming up and if I've got anything else scheduled or planned coming up. Appreciate y'all. Later.